So animal nutrition, chapter 41. So this really is something that we should be able to understand fairly easily because we go through the same processes that other animals do. We don't have more special needs than most animals do. But we have to eat. Right? We like to eat. At least I do. Certain things. And animals are comprised of different ways that they obtain their foods. We have herbivores, and they eat what? Plants, right? Carnivores, they eat other animals, but we are, well, most of us are omnivores. Omnivores regularly consume animals as well as plants or algae, which is kind of cool, right? We eat what we want, basically. Is anybody a vegetarian or vegan or altered in any way? Okay. So animals have this ability to find food, especially like this bear, right? What's he eating? Salmon, right? He didn't have to go to the store and buy it. He has to scrounge for it. But on times when he can't find a salmon, he doesn't get to eat. Unlike us in the United States, most of us go to the store when we're hungry and we get something to eat. Or we stop at McDonald's and get us something to eat, right? Other animals have to, and some humans the same way. We are not programmed to eat every day or 3 times a day. That's not normal for us as a historical evolutionary being. Our cavemen and cavewomen ancestors didn't get to eat every day. There might have been a week where they didn't get any food. You ever watched Naked and Afraid? Where they go 21 days, and some of them don't even eat in 21 days, you know. They lose 20, 30 pounds in 21 days. And of course, I'm sitting there going, what's wrong with you people? Why are you just sitting underneath the shade tree waiting for the 21 days to go by? You know, our ancestors didn't have that luxury. They had to go out and find their food. So animals consist of lots of different things, but it gives us chemical energy. When you take glucose, C6H12O6, and you break those bonds down, we get energy released. And in order to do this, we have to have essential nutrients. We are not like plants that can obtain their energy from the sun and convert that into usable food. We have to get our foods from different places. So the organic building blocks that make us up have to be gotten from eating. You know, sometimes I think eating is a waste of time. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But some people really love to eat. I could eat, but I don't really need to. I could eat. When I was in college, I'd drink a big glass of water, and I was good for the day. There were some days I'd eat breakfast, and that was it. I'd study all the time between them. So there are 4 classes of essential nutrients. We have amino acids, fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals. These are essential nutrients. Carbohydrates are part of our diet also, and we get carbohydrates though from most anything that we eat. But there are certain things we can't get fatty acids or amino acids out of, so we have to get those essentially out of our foods. So we have 20 different amino acids. We call these essential 20 amino acids. We get them from our eggs, meat, cheese, anything that has more of a complete protein. So all those nutrients that we love so much help supply us with these chemicals that we need to convert our bodies to make proteins, to make fat, to make muscle. Those are types of things that we have to have. But we have to get it from the foods that we eat. Some non-essential amino acids we can make in our bodies. We can take proteins and convert them chemically into proteins that we can use. So they're non-essential, but the essential ones we cannot do that with. We have to get those from our foods themselves. So if you're a vegetarian or a vegan and you don't know how to eat properly, you can get malnourished very quickly. And my wife was watching Grey's Anatomy last night. There was a little boy on there, and come to find out he was vitamin C deficient because all he liked to drink and eat was graham crackers and chocolate milk. And his mom was busy. She worked 2 jobs. She wasn't around, and she told the babysitters, yeah, that's what he likes, so that's what they gave him. And that's all he ate. Can you survive on chocolate milk? And not forever, right? You become deficient. We have a nephew that he has the pickiest eater I've ever seen. He won't eat certain things. Macaroni and cheese has to be a certain kind. Chicken nuggets have to be a certain kind. Peanut butter sandwiches, very, very limited, very select on what he eats. But evidently he's getting enough. He's like 16, 17 years old. But you think he'll eat just one slice of cucumber? No. He'll retch, he'll throw up, because they make him even touch it in his mouth. Not a good eater at all. This all comes from when you start your kids out and you keep them and introduce foods and have them eat them. Is she a good eater? Are you a good eater?
Yeah. Well, other than that, like stuff we make at home, what kind of stuff do you like? Chili. You like chili, shrimp.
How about vegetables? Do you like vegetables?
What kind of fruits do you like though? You like strawberries, and apples, and cantaloupes.
Do you like corn? You don't like corn?
Sometimes you'll eat broccoli. That's about it.
It looks like trees.
Yeah.
You don't like green? Oh, green's the best. That's what gives you the best nutrients. Those are the best. Yummy.
You do pretty good.
So the other one is essential fatty acids. We have to have certain fats out of our foods too that we can't convert into a non-essential fatty acids. So we can get deficiencies pretty easily if we don't get these essential fatty acids. But if you're eating a normal diet, you're not going to have problems with fats, especially if you eat meat. You're going to get enough of what you need from those. How many people here take vitamins? No? No vitamins? What kind do you take?
One a day multivitamin and fish oil.
Bring them in. I'll show you a trick with those.
Tastes terrible.
Yeah. Vitamins are unique in that you have to have these, not so much that you have to have a vitamin, but you have to have the nutrients that are in the vitamins to make your reactions take place in your body. These are cofactors or coenzymes necessary for the reactions to take place. So even though that you're eating good, if you don't have the proper nutrients in those that you think you're eating good anyway, I should say, you think you're eating good and you're not getting the proper nutrients, these cofactors, you're not utilizing the food that you're eating. It's not going in properly. So 2 categories, we have the fat-soluble and water-soluble vitamins. Water-soluble, you can take as many as you want. The fat-soluble are the ones that you can get toxic on. Fish oil, you can become toxic on too. You get, like say, no more than 6 at a time. Can be get too much. More than likely, they'll make you sick before they'll make you throw up or have discomfort more so than they'll kill you. But minerals is another one. We get our inorganic minerals from the foods we eat, water we drink. Those types of things come from from the environment. Plants pick up the minerals, put them in their fruits and vegetables that we eat, and it goes from there. Malnourishment is a long-term absence from diet. No kids get this when they don't eat well. They can get deficient very quickly. You know, when we were kids, we ate whatever was on the plate, on the table. Otherwise, we didn't eat. There was no, Mom never made us peanut butter sandwiches to offset what we didn't eat at lunch. And when we ate at school, we ate everything on our plate at school. I don't care if it was beets, we were hungry.
I like beets.
You know, we ate it. Stewed tomatoes, we had those and all that stuff. I don't care. I think a lot of times our society, our people aren't hungry enough to actually have that situation where they have a good diet where they'll eat anything. So some of the things, deformities, diseases, death, you can have situations where the golden rice is engineered, a strain of rice with beta-carotene in it. It gives people vitamin A. If you don't have the right amount of vitamin A, you will go blind, which is kind of weird. But in certain parts of Africa and those third world countries, they don't have vitamin A in their foods. They start going blind. You take just vitamin A in the little pearls and you give it to them and their eyesight comes back. They think you're like a god. It's just amazing. It's almost an overnight transformation. So they put them in the rice. Now they ingested it, put it genetically in the rice. So whenever they eat rice, they get the vitamin A, because rice normally doesn't have vitamin A in it. Most of the vegetables that are orange or yellow have the vitamin A component to it. So undernutrition is not as bad as malnutrition, but you're still not getting enough. Undernourished individuals, they use up their fats. When they break down the proteins, they start using their muscle mass, then they start breaking down the heart muscle, and the body starts to be damaged permanently. So people that are anorexic, for instance, they are constantly trying to avoid calories. Unfortunately, you can't do that very long until you start use up all your glycogen, then you use up all your fats, then you start burning up your muscle tissues because you can get energy from that. But your heart is the last to go, and you can die from anorexia or even bulimia, not enough nutrition. So, irreversible. So how do we know what we need to do? So, we can take blood tests, we can look at the different things, but you can have problems where you just don't utilize your foods either. We can have neural tube defects if you don't have the proper amount of niacin in our bodies or folic acid. We can have different difficulties. So while people are carrying their children, if they're not eating properly, they're not getting their vitamins, then they can have problems with not just them, but the babies too. A good example is women, when they get pregnant, they put them on a prenatal vitamin. It's a good vitamin. If you're going to take a vitamin, take a prenatal vitamin, Michelle. I mean, it's a good vitamin. Just make sure you tell your husband that, you know, that I'm taking this for, that I'm not pregnant again. Whatever. Yeah. That might be.
Try to steer.
Yeah, just put the bottle out on the table. And, yeah.
We get magazines from when I was pregnant that has my maiden name on it, and it's weird getting it. It's like Fit Pregnancy Magazine. No. Throw it out. It's like, what's this passive aggressiveness? It's not happening.
So yeah, you have to kind of look at that stuff. Go on with that. So a couple terms. Ingestion is the act of eating. So if you want to go ask somebody out to supper tonight and say, hey, I want to go out and ingest some food, or deglutination is also swallowing, so that's another term that you can look at. So when animals eat things, we're kind of different than a lot of animals, especially the herbivores. How do herbivores get food out, nutrition out of their food? Because remember that cellulose is indigestible by humans and most animals. It's all bacteria. Without the bacteria in their gut, they would die. So if you have a little animal like this little rabbit, if they don't have that proper nutrition in there, those digestive enzymes and those bacteria, they can't utilize it. They can't break down the cellulose. I know a guy that's coming up with a new technique where he's using calcium hydroxide, and he mixes it with hay, and it makes it so that the hay is broken down easier so that the cows gain weight faster. You don't have to use as much energy to break it down. But cows have, what is it, three stomachs? And so it goes from one stomach to another stomach to another stomach before it's even utilized and broken down. We don't have that ability. We can't take cellulose and utilize it. So if you take a stalk of celery and you eat that, unless you put peanut butter on it, you're probably not going to get much nutrients out of celery. It's a negative, they claim it's a negative calorie food. It takes almost more calories to burn it, to break it down, than it does to, that you get out of it. But celery is really good with peanut butter on it. It's awesome. Yeah, it's not got you thinking, right?
I just bought celery yesterday.
Yeah, I love that. That's our snack at night, you know. Instead of ice cream and stuff, a little bit of that on some, yeah.
I do applesauce.
Applesauce on it too? I
Well,
haven't
not,
tried that.
Not that, but that's my snack.
Oh,
It's light enough that it ain't gonna
yeah, doesn't have that much
be
sugar in
bad
it.
for me.
So suspension feeders, many animals are suspension feeders. They sift through the water. You'll see like whales, they swim around with their mouth open, and they like the plankton and the little fish that goes into their mouth is their food. They don't really go out and try to kill things. It's just they open them up. Some others, we have substrate feeders that go inside leaves and will burrow in and eat those out. We have fluid feeders, your mosquitoes. You know, I still don't know what we intended for mosquitoes, why they evolved, but we still have them. And then we have bulk feeders like the anacondas and the pythons that will squeeze and kill and then swallow their prey. You know, you see where they'll swallow a whole deer like this, and they'll just lay there. They can't even move. They have
I
to.
hope not.
They have to
I
digest.
can
Around
still
like a
move
log.
after that.
They're easy to catch then, but at that, they got to be like 15 feet long anyway to be able to do that. And sometimes they'll get the horns in there. You can see the horns sticking out, and they can actually puncture through them. Substrate feeders live on food and food source. We talked about those. Digestion is just the process of breaking the food down. So in humans, we take the food in, right? We eat it. Then what do? How do we get it to absorb it? What's the first step in digestion? Chewing, right? We mechanically break the food down. We mechanically digest it. And at the same time, we're mixing it with chemicals, amylase, lipase, inside of our mouth. That's breaking down the molecules, the food into smaller and smaller molecules. The more you chew your food, the better digestion you have. How many times did you chew each mouthful of food?
Until it's comfortable.
Till it's comfortable?
It's small.
20 to 25 times per bite. Do you do that?
I've never counted.
I don't normally count.
There you go.
Only till it's comfortable.
Homework for this weekend. Count how many times you chew your food before you swallow it. See if you can make it to 25. Celery, you're probably going to make it to 25. Ice cream, probably not. But the old saying is you're supposed to swallow your food and chew your liquids. That's kind of weird, right? But you're supposed to chew your liquid, you want to swish it around your mouth so you digest it. So you mix it with your amylase and your lipase. Because if you just drink it down, it goes right down your throat. You don't even mix it. But your foods, when you chew it, the more you chew it, the more you mix it with those enzymes, the better it is. So your stomach doesn't have to break it down so much when it gets down there. The smaller the smaller the parts, the less your stomach has to do. If you devour a Big Mac in 3 bites. You got these big old chunks of food inside your gut, and your stomach has to churn and churn and break them down. So instead of 2 hours of breaking them down, it takes 6 hours to break it down. See? And a lot of times when people, if they don't chew well enough, the food starts coming back up and they get that regurg. They're not chewing enough. So I find that quite often. It's not so much that there's too much acid, it's they're not chewing their food enough and they have too little acid to break it down. Then we absorb it. Finally, when we get it broken down in our digestive system, we absorb it, we get the nutrients to the cells. What we don't absorb is eliminated out the south end. So the food goes in the mouth and comes out the south. That's and the nutrients in between kind of stick around. But we have specialized compartments. Now, if I told you that our digestion occurs outside of the body, would that be true or false? In humans, digestion occurs outside of the body. Is that a trick question? Let's think about this. We have a body, we have tissue, muscle, connective tissue, everything else, right? But we have this big tube that runs right through it called the alimentary canal. So when we run sewer from our house to the sewer plant, is it running in the ground or in the tube? In the tube, right? But it's underground, but it's still in the tube. So it's not in the ground, it's kind of under the ground, but not the ground itself. See what I'm saying? So digestion occurs outside of the environment. The tissues that inside your digestive system is the same type of tissues that are on your skin, epithelial tissues. Isn't that kind of cool? When we're conceived, when we're developing, our body folds around itself and makes a tube inside. That's what gives our digestive system. Pretty cool. So, food vacuoles contain food, are fused with lysozymes inside of our cells. We have the hydrolytic enzymes break things down, and then we get this process of extracellular digestion taking place where we get the nutrients into our cells. So, for humans, we take a Twinkie, right? You take a bite of a Twinkie, you chew it 25 times, goes in to our stomach, through our stomach to our small intestine where it's absorbed into our circulatory system. From there it has to go out of that into the cells. How do we get it into the cells from our digestive system, from our circulatory system? Well, we have to have chemicals. We have to have hormones like insulin that grabs hold of that little sugar molecule that we've broken it down and pulls it into the cells so that we can utilize it. Once that glucose molecule gets into the cell, what happens to it? What's that dreaded thing that has 3 steps to it, 3 phases? You learn about it in Biology 1. 3 nasty steps with all those different parts to it. Cellular respiration. Very good. That's the one I'm looking for. So the glucose gets in there, and it goes through cellular respiration, and we get what given off from cellular respiration? What's the byproducts? I know we've talked about this before in class.
ATP.
Good, good. These energy molecules. Without the glucose going through those steps, nothing happens. We don't have ATP, no movements, nothing. We can't move, we can't walk, we can't even think without those processes. So every cell of the body needs glucose and it needs insulin to do that. So if you're diabetic, you have diabetes mellitus, you don't have the insulin to pull that sugar, that glucose molecule into the cell. You don't have ATP. So that cell doesn't have ATP. What happens to it?